fellow soul smarties. In this video, I want to share with you how I reset for a new season. In this particular instance, my favorite season of all, autumn or fall. So if we haven't met yet, hi, I'm Joanna. I create content around the themes of intuitive living, intentional living, and magical living. These are the three areas of what I call being soul smart. So not just what we're taught to be, which is smart about life, but all the extra layers of, as I said, intuition, intention, and magic, which makes us more soul smart, more connected with our souls, more connected with our soul path, more connected with spirit, with something bigger, with something more purposeful. And I have found that adding that layer to my life has made me happier, has helped me to create a life that's more fulfilling because it's more right for me. I'm not following other people's formulas or expectations. And so I want to share some of that with you. So how is resetting for a new season soul smart? Well, pausing between the seasons gives you this opportunity to tune into what you really feel and what you really want and where you are right now and where you want to go next. I think that we tend to just move so quickly through life, through the year. And I feel like a lot of things just pass us by. Like maybe we want to do things like read more or take more walks in a nice autumnal forest. But then life happens and we just don't do these things that are really important to us or that really feed us at that soul level. And so I find that when we take that pause in between seasons to reset, to really get clear on what's important, on what matters, and what we want to fit in, what we would like to make space for, that just makes it easier to then choose for those things because, of course, the clarity needs. So I'm going to share with you the steps that I go through specifically in a minute. But first, I just want to point out that I am resetting for fall at the end of August, early September, because that's what feels right to me. If that doesn't feel right to you, then feel free to do whatever does feel right to you. If you consider the equinox on September 21st, the actual start of fall, or even October as the actual start of fall, then by all means, take those dates, take whatever works for you. So my approach has really grown with me over the years. My approach, I think, started or was more clarified when I read this book. It's called Year of the Witch, Connecting with Nature's Seasons Through Intuitive Magic by Temperance Alden. And this is a typical book about the pagan festivals, the Wheel of the Year festivals that mark the turn of the seasons. Pretty standard stuff. But at the end, she had this whole section about making your own Wheel of the Year. So really paying attention to what matters to you in particular seasons. And when I read that, like consolidated all the things that I'd been thinking that I wanted to do, and it gave me permission. So I think we're internally wired to not allow ourselves to do things differently to what the rules are. But I mean, in something like this, there are no rules, you know? So we really do need to go with what feels right to us, and what feels right to me is to start fall right now. So, okay, let's get into what I do to reset for autumn and take whatever resonates with you. You can either pause this video as we go through the different questions that I have asked myself to get ready for a new season, or you can put aside some time another time. Again, whatever works for you is absolutely perfect. So I did several things, and I'm doing several things. The first was to simply look at what I consider the coming season and to identify the dates that are important to me. So the calendar specific things, that's really a great place for you to start as well, to identify the calendar specific things that you don't want to miss, that you want to make sure that you mark in some way, that are important to you in your life. So for me, I definitely want to mark the autumn equinox on September 21st. I definitely want to mark Halloween, and I definitely want to mark Samhain, which is November 1st, 2nd. That is actually especially important to me because it's the Celtic New Year. And I have always, even before I knew that it was the Celtic New Year, I always felt like that was a new beginning. So that date is particularly important to me this season. I also have a couple of friends' birthdays that I want to mark, and I notice that every year I feel like I want to do something around American Thanksgiving. I'm not actually American, but I grew up in the States, and I've always wanted to do something Thanksgiving-y. I really like the energy of gratitude around that time, but I never get around to it. So we'll see. Maybe this year will be it. I've put it on my list anyway, at least as something to consider. So that's the first thing, is to identify any calendar-specific things that are important to you specifically. Next, I identified the themes, the non-calendar specific things that are important to me this season, that really illustrate or symbolize this season for me, that mattered to me this season, that I don't want to miss, that I want to play into, that I want to play with. For me, and this could be totally different for you, but for me, we start with the back to school energy. And I know that it's been a really long time since I've gone back to school, like a really long time. But something about that back to school energy has stayed with me since I was a child. And something about it speaks to me every single year. I get excited for it. I really feel it deeply every year. So this year, I'm intentionally committing to learning something new, a more extensive course on Irish spirituality. This really appeals to me. It also plays into some energy work that I've been doing around being rooted and grounded here in Ireland. We have been here for 3 years now, and I have gone through a really major shift in the past year, especially with that. So that really suits the other aspects of what I'm doing, and it satisfies that perpetual learner in me. So I am doing a course on that. But more importantly, I think what I want to make sure I do is to make space in my calendar, in my schedule for learning. So whether doing that course or continuing with other things that I'm perpetually studying, like tarot and astrology and magic, I just want to make sure that I spend focused time on learning new things, because that really feeds me. It really fulfills me, and it's really important to me. So I'm reconnecting with the energy of that around this particular back to school period. Next, I was thinking about just the energy of the season, of the fall season. And for me, the most important and most wonderful thing about that is the coziness of fall. So that's really important to me, and I want to make sure that I experience that to the fullest, maybe a little bit too much. I have spent some time redecorating my spaces. It still looks pretty summery outside my window. So at the moment, the most autumnal place is my creative space, where I have laid out these fake autumnal leaves to create that fall atmosphere. But that's okay. The outside world will catch up with me soon. That coziness is really important to me. So I have been looking at cozy playlists and changed all the coverings in my spaces to cozier colors. And I want to go and do some shopping and see the seasonal displays and see what other kind of decorative elements I can add to my home, to my spaces that I spend a lot of time in, to make them cozier. This also translates into activities that I want to make sure that I include more of, reading more books and playing my cozy games and doing jigsaw puzzles and things like that. So what I associate with that cozy season, that's really important to me. It's also a witchy season for me. I really identify with that whole vibe as well. So I'm intentionally playing with that energy, or making the most out of that energy, I suppose, and recommitting to that part of me that's witchier, that wants to learn more about magic, but not just intellectually actually do magic, And lastly, I really associate this time of year with ancestral work. I think that's because of Halloween and Samhain, which is traditionally known as when the veil between the worlds thins and when we can reach out to the other side maybe more easily. I have never really done proper formal ancestral work. And I'm sharing this with you again because it's really important to know that you can't get these things wrong. You need to just follow the threads that interest you and do things in a way that really works for you. So I have been thinking about my paternal grandmother a lot, and I've received several messages about that connection recently. It's just been in my energetic space. So actually this morning, during my spiritual practice, I reached out to her to see what message she wanted to send me, like why she was coming up in my mind and my energy so often. And what came up is not what I expected. She used to have this piano in her house that I adored. Like, I always wanted to play the piano when I was a little girl, and it was never possible for various reasons. And I loved that she'd had a piano. She didn't actually play the piano. In fact, I remember she used to store flour and things in the piano somehow, so you couldn't even super play it because the keys would be blocked by whatever she was storing inside the piano. But I remember that piano as part of my experience of visiting her as a child. And for various reasons, that piano did not end up with me. And now I do have a piano. We have a piano in the house that my son plays. And my grandmother's message seemed to be to play the piano for her, to devote time to that. And that's just really interesting because I've followed that thread several times over the past few years and it never went anywhere. I even signed up for this app maybe like 4 months ago, and I then never did anything with it. So I still have that membership. Anyway, all that to say that I will play the piano for my grandmother, or to reconnect with that part of me and to reconnect with her and with her energy and with that ancestral line. And that will be my ancestral work for the moment. So I wanted to share that with you as well, because ancestral work doesn't have to look like anything specific. It can be all sorts of different things. So if this is a thread that you want to pull on for yourself as well, then go with that flow. Do whatever feels like it's connecting you to your ancestors. And that could be playing the piano, or it could be baking a cake, or it could be something more formal if that's what you want. All right, so that was identifying the themes that are important to you. I shared the themes that are important to me. You might want to take some of those or add some other things that you associate with this particular season that we're starting right now. The next thing that I do, or that I did, or that I'm doing actually, because this bit I haven't finished yet, is to reconnect with your dreams and with your goals, with where you want to go, what you want to create for yourself, what you want to experience next, anything like that. And it doesn't have to be anything big, but whatever vision you have for the next chapter of your life, this is where it goes, you know? And I find that this part is especially important at this time of year because we've just finished the summer. And for many people, it'll be a different routine or no routine at all. I had no routine for like the past 3 months. I still did stuff, but it was very haphazard. And I'm really looking forward to getting into a routine again. But I feel quite disconnected from my process, my manifesting process, and my dreams and goals, and what I want to create next, or what I want to work towards next. So it's a good time to reconnect with what you want to work towards, what you want to put your energy towards creating more of in your life. And I do this in a very specific way. Last year, my spirit team Avalon gave me a whole set of prompts and things to think about in a particular order. And so I used that. So I'm using that again this year. I have actually put it into a recording that I can share, and we have called it the Reconnect, Realign, Rekindle Ritual. And yeah, you can get that. I'll leave the link in the description box as well in case you want to check it out. But that's what I'm doing. And just a little note that for this part of the process, for me, I'm using a slightly longer time frame. So I'm going all the way until Christmas. I realize that goes into winter, but there are no strict rules here. That's what works for me. And I'm okay with that overlap. I think that's that for that part about goals and dreams. And the next part is to identify anything else that's important to you. And that could be stuff that you really want to get done next, like home projects or, things that have been on your mind for a while and you finally want to get to in the next few months. Or it could be things that are just important to you at all seasons of the year. So for example, I'm a big theater fan, especially musical theater. So every few months at the start of every season, say, I will look into what's playing, what's available, what can I go to, what can I fit in, and get my tickets. So that's something that I add into my seasonal reset as well, because that's just part of what I love doing. So just think about what's always important to you, not necessarily just in this season, right? And make sure that you're making space for those things as well. And then the last thing that I do for my seasonal reset is to make a list of specific things that I want to do, that I want to read, that I want to watch, that I want to make, just so that all these ideas about things that are important to me and themes that I don't want to pass me by, you know, that they're more concrete, and so that I have a list of inspiration to pull from. You may notice that I just love lists. So if you're not a list person, then this might not be for you, but I love making lists, and these kind of bucket list types of lists I really adore. So this was really fun for me to put together as well, based on what I find important. I did a lot of Googling around it as well for more inspiration, and it's just been a really fun process. If you want to see my list, I've put it all into a blog post, which I'll link below as well. But yeah, that was really fun. If you're a list maker, I think you'll enjoy that bit very much. And that's it. So those were the elements of my autumnal reset, my fall reset. Just to recap, it was to identify the calendar specific things that are important to you this season, to identify the non-calendar specific things that are important to you this season. So themes that you associate with the season and that you want to play with or make sure you experience. Reconnecting with your dreams and goals. So that whole process of identifying or becoming really clear on what you want to create next or what's important for you to move towards, and anything else that's important to you, seasonal or otherwise. And then a big long list that you can pull from for the next few months. I don't know about you, but for me, it seems that I get very excited about things and then I kind of get lost in life stuff, you know? So having a list is actually really helpful for me, because then when I don't know what to do or when I'm feeling a bit off, I have a list of things that I know will bring me joy, that I know I was looking forward to, and that'll help me to actually get the most out of a season that I really adore and I do want to get the most out of. So that's it. I hope that that's given you some inspiration. If you want to share with me something that's really important to you about the coming season, I would really love to know. And in fact, any comment would be greatly appreciated. As I said, I'm new to this video making thing, but it's one of my creative projects for the fall. So I would love to know how this resonated with you and what you found interesting, and anything you want to share from your own thoughts about the season, from your own reset. And I will see you in another video then. Bye-bye.